Live from KSAT 12, the Nightbeat starts right now.
Welcome and good evening. A story we've been following extensively from the border to San Antonio to plane and bus rides around the country. We hear of, we see, and we feel the surge at the border firsthand. This holiday season, thousands of families, they now sit in limbo trying to figure out what exactly comes next. And while this is going on, our community members, they stepped up, they helped out. As the night team's Avery Everett shows us, community members, they came together celebrating the season of giving, helping those who need it this Christmas Eve.
Even with traditional San Antonio Christmas foods,
tamales, rice and beans.
The circumstances surrounding this meal are anything but traditional.
I know their journey is not easy. For them to have crossed.
Government officials report historic highs this week for people crossing the U.S.-Mexico border. And San Antonio is seeing that impact. The influx is apparent at the city's Migrant Resource Center, with hundreds of people inside and even more waiting and walking along San Pedro.
There's many outside, sleeping outside right now.
That's why Sonia de la Garza Walker and dozens of others stepped up to help out Sunday afternoon. But they had to do so across the street. Walker says her goal is to serve food and a sense of familiarity.
My people is our Spanish Mexican blood that we have. Our culture is giving, and that's what we teach each other, to be giving.
Food isn't the only focus of these efforts. They're also handing out different sizes of clothes and a whole lot of different shoes. They say the goal here is to focus on humanity when people often feel hopeless.
This is a time for family. This is a time for giving.
And that's why 14-year-old Celeste Salazar joined her family to serve.
And I want to help them as much as I could.
Even if scooping food may seem small,
it makes me want to give them more food, though. It really does.
Celeste says she wants to make people smile. Because on this holiday, while these people may be far from home, our neighbors want to make sure these families feel the season of giving.
It's about the immigrants today.
And feel a heaping serving of Christmas spirit. Avery Everett, KSAT 12 News.
And speaking of the Christmas spirit, it was a rainy and soggy start to this Christmas Eve earlier this morning. We had a front move through, though. That cleared us out, actually brought back some beautiful sunshine this afternoon, and drier air has already been filtering into south central Texas. So as that continues to work in through the overnight, turning chilly and even breezy for Santa. Lows in the low 40s by wake up time tomorrow, but with wind gusts upwards of about 30 miles per hour, it will feel like the 30s in many locations first thing Christmas morning. After that, though, winds are going to subside into the afternoon. Very pleasant with low humidity, high temperatures in the upper 50s near that 60-degree mark. After that, cool mornings, comfy afternoons, and plenty of sunshine carry over through the last week of 2023. We're going to get you all those details. Plus, we are tracking Santa tonight, and a few little elves told us that he is now moving across North America. So we'll get you all those details a little bit later on.
Thank you, Mia. And like Mia just said, Santa busy traveling around the world, delivering gifts and Christmas joy to billions. But he's not alone in his journey through the skies. AAA expects travel this holiday weekend record-breaking. More than 115 million people traveling more than 50 miles to their Christmas destinations. More than 7 million people also expected to fly out of town for Christmas, which would make this one of the busiest travel weekends on record. The weather cooperating in most places, but that also means no white Christmas for most of the country.
We expect it to be the second busiest holiday period since we've been tracking holiday travel.
And if you're still traveling across town or Texas for Christmas Day tomorrow, here's a quick look at those gas prices. AAA reporting Texas and Bexar County prices falling a cent or 2 cents from yesterday. Texas down to $2.68. Bexar County down to $2.63. Meanwhile, the national average remains dozens of cents higher than the prices in the Lone Star State, $3.12. Well, busy night for police, turning into an early morning shootout between San Antonio police and a suspect. That suspect now in the hospital. So this was the scene just before 2:30 this morning. This is the 7500 block of West Lynn Drive. It's on the city's far west side. Now, Chief William McManus tells us officers called to reports of a domestic dispute. And they were warned that suspect could have been under the influence of drugs. They were also warned the suspect was armed. When officers got there, they approached the scene. That is when the suspect allegedly started shooting at them. 2 officers returned fire, hitting the suspect in the shoulder. No injuries of officers were reported. We are still waiting to learn what charges that suspect will face once released from the hospital. Also overnight, San Antonio police still searching for a driver involved in a deadly hit-and-run crash. This happened just before midnight. This is the I-10 exit ramp to South New Braunfels Avenue. Police say the suspect hit a 23-year-old man. Then the suspect drove off. Moments later, a second driver hit the same man. That individual did stop, render aid, also called 911. The man who was hit eventually died from those injuries. There is no vehicle or suspect information to report, so if you have any information that can help in the investigation, you're asked to call police immediately. Terror in Houston ends with 1 man dead, 4 more in the hospital after a fight at a Southeast Houston nightclub ends in gunfire. Houston police say several people got into an argument outside of the club. They started shooting. At least 2 people fired their guns. Authorities say all those involved, there were men around 17 years old or in their early 20s. After the shooting, police say 5 men left the scene in a stolen 2015 Toyota Tundra. 4 of the people inside that truck were dropped off at a hospital. Police are still searching for the 5th person. Now, police say the stolen truck the last man is driving is blue. Remember, Toyota Tundra, Texas license plate JLX0756. If you see the license plate or the truck, you're asked to call police immediately. Well, St. Nick has loaded up his sled, making his way around the world, but we know wars are still waging on. Christmas for families, places like Israel, Ukraine, other tumultuous regions, they look a little different this year. ABC's Ines Delacaterra in London with how folks all over the globe are celebrating.
Santa Claus is delivering gifts and holiday cheer to millions around the world. And NORAD, as it has done for the past 68 years, is tracking his journey.
And we're going to make sure that his path is clear. And as we intercept him, we'll go ahead and wave at him. He waves at us. He knows we're there. And he's quite happy that we're escorting him as he makes his way around North America.
The mild weather, good news for millions taking to the skies and the roads headed to their holiday destinations. AAA predicting the busiest holiday season ever with 7.5 million air travelers expected.
We had a great flight. No issues so far.
Around the world, people finding different ways to celebrate. A diving Chris Kringle and Mrs. Claus spotted in Rio de Janeiro taking a break from delivering toys. In Madrid, thousands of runners taking part in an annual Santa charity run. And at the Vatican, the faithful gathering as Pope Francis prayed for those suffering from war, misery, and hunger. For some, though, a more somber Christmas Eve. As the war rages on between Israel and Hamas, Christmas celebrations in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Christ, have been canceled. In place of some of the more traditional holiday decorations, a display representing Gaza, symbolizing Jesus entering the world in a pile of rubble. And in Ukraine, President Zelensky, whose country is waging war against Russia, delivering an address saying the light is getting stronger and the darkness retreating. Ines Delacaterra, ABC News, London.
Back here in America, what seems like the plot out of a Christmas movie, Spirit Airlines now apologizing to the family of a 6-year-old boy that somehow was placed on the wrong flight. The boy was traveling as an unaccompanied minor out of Philadelphia. He was supposed to land in Fort Myers earlier this week, but he instead incorrectly boarded a plane to Orlando. The child eventually called his grandmother, who was waiting for him at Fort Myers Airport. The grandma, the real hero of this story, because she drove several hours to Orlando to pick up the 6-year-old. Now, Spirit Airlines doing an internal investigation into what exactly happened. And hitting the lottery could be your Christmas miracle. The new Powerball jackpot sitting at about $638 million for the next drawing, which is tomorrow night, Christmas. 3 Powerball jackpots have been won on Christmas Day before. The estimated cash value for this drawing's grand prize, $321 million. The odds, though, much smaller. Your chance of winning is about 1 in 292 million. Having a home for the holidays, it is a blessing for so many of us, and yet so many of us take it for granted. Coming up, how Habitat for Humanity delivering Christmas gifts for dozens of families just in time for the holiday. And, of course, the holidays can be stressful, so much so you might just want to leave the cooking to others. We have a list of about a dozen restaurants here in San Antonio going to be open on Christmas Day. You can find that list right now. Just head to KSAT.com. Welcome back. There is nothing like being home for the holidays. That is, if you have a home. Yet this year, Habitat for Humanity helping make 60 families first-time homeowners. Jesse DeGuato says that is a new record just in time for Christmas.
Simply hanging up a Christmas wreath is especially meaningful for a first-time home buyer.
It's the best thing ever happened to me.
Maria Crispin says never did she think she and her 2 children would have a home of their own. Living with her parents, she says.
They didn't have that feeling that they have their own home.
But now they do, with their own Christmas tree in a house they saw built from the ground up.
I started to cry because I was like, that's going to be my house.
One of 60 built this year in Rancho Carlota by Habitat for Humanity, with hands-on help from Crispin and her neighbors, like she did with their homes. Was it worth it?
Yeah, it was worth it, every second of it.
Getting this little house took a lot of perseverance on Maria Crispin's part. After applying twice, the third time was the charm.
We give them a roadmap for what they need to do, what barriers they have to home ownership. So we do everything to be able to empower our families.
What lesson should this be for your children?
To never give up in life.
Crispin says thanks to Habitat for Humanity, in spite of any doubts she may have had, Crispin believes what she has on her daughter's bedroom wall.
Dream it, and you can do it.
All right.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
That's beautiful.
That is beautiful. Great story by Jesse. I know so many of those families loving it, waking up there Christmas morning. A big question a lot of families are going to have, though, what is the weather going to be like when St. Nick rolls in?
Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be windy first thing tomorrow and actually a bit chilly because of that wind, just ushering in that cooler and drier air into the afternoon, though. Winds subside and it's going to be pretty nice out there. A little bit cool, upper 50s, right around 60 degrees, but drier than what we saw earlier this morning. All right, here's the big question, what we've been talking about throughout the evening. Where is Santa? He was last seen in Canada. He's actually been going back and forth between Canada and then the New England states. He was in Massachusetts about 30 minutes ago, as well as New York. He's already delivered 5.8 billion presents as he makes his trek around the globe. So he'll be nearing Texas and San Antonio in no time. Very exciting. No issues for Santa getting here to the Alamo City or South Central Texas through the overnight. In fact, he is going to see a little bit of a tailwind help him on his journey with those gusts upwards of about 30 miles per hour after we see this second little reinforcing push of cooler air move through overnight. A little bit of a different story across portions of the deep south, though. Some rain all associated with that front and the low pressure system that brought us the rain and storm activity earlier this morning. But behind it, we've already seen that drier air filter in, feeling more pleasant out there late this Sunday night. Dew points how we measure that moisture in the low levels of the atmosphere, currently in the 30s as well as the 40s. And yes, that drier air is moving in via those north winds. Right now, not seeing a whole lot in terms of more noticeable wind gusts, but I do think that's going to change into the early morning hours of our Christmas day. Some wind gusts upwards of about 25 to even 30 miles per hour will be possible, and that does carry over into Christmas morning. So actual air temperatures, yes, on the colder side, especially compared to the muggier starts we've seen over the past several mornings here in San Antonio. Upper 30s, low 40s for most, around 43 degrees here in town, 46 in Pleasanton, 43 in Devine, 41 in Sabinal, maybe some upper 30s across portions of the hill country. But when you factor in those breezier winds first thing tomorrow, feels like temperatures likely in the 30s in many locations, so you'll definitely want to bundle up if you are hitting the roads for any travel plans first thing tomorrow. I do think we'll see some mid and high clouds stream across the south central Texas sky, but into the afternoon those winds are going to start to subside and it is going to be a very pleasant day. Mid 50s, around 55 degrees at lunchtime, upper 50s right around that 60-degree mark expected here in the Alamo City. By tomorrow afternoon, 62 in Floresville as well as Nixon, 59 in Seguin, 57 the high temperature tomorrow in Canyon Lake. That stretches over as well to places like Bulverde, Bernie, as well as Comfort. We talked about that drier air already moving in, and it's here to stay for a while, pretty much each and every day all the way through the upcoming week, the last full week of 2023. So because of that, and especially as those winds start to calm by tomorrow afternoon and into the evening, that's going to allow for temperatures to really fall through the overnight hours. So we've got some cold mornings in store Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Upper 30s expected here in town. Plenty of sunshine into the afternoons, high temperatures topping off in the comfortable 60s. Not really expecting any more rain, though, at least over the next 6 to 7 days for the most part. That will follow, though, the rain and storms that we saw this morning. Here's a look at some of those rainfall totals in and around the San Antonio area. Over 3/10 of an inch in Uvalde, around 1/2 of an inch off to our southeast in Cuero. Unfortunately for places like Pleasanton as well as Hallettsville, not as much rain in the rain gauge, about 1/10 of an inch there. Here in San Antonio, though, pretty impressive in some of those rain gauges, almost 7/10 of an inch over at the airport, 1/2 of an inch in Helotes, 0.42 in Scenic Oaks, over 6/10 of an inch in Bulverde. So definitely nice, especially as we continue to chip away at the prolonged drought that we have seen, and just add on to that rainfall total as we get ready to wrap up the year. Yeah, again, windy tomorrow morning, but other than that, very pleasant into the afternoon, and Max, those pleasant conditions will continue for the most part all the way through the upcoming week.
All right, thank you, Mia. Hollywood and Bollywood rolling out 6 new movies for fans this weekend. How they fared in their Christmas weekend box office debut. That's next on Nightbeat.
A deadly house fire, 5 lives lost.
I love all of them so much. That day didn't feel real.
2 sisters struggling with an unimaginable tragedy.
I remember the day every single one of them was born.
For their mother, family was everything.
She did everything for us.
So I guess if we go back to Sylvia, how would you describe her?
Yeah, she's just a really cool person, and
Hear their loving memories and how they are helping them move forward by streaming the full story now.
home was there.
Sorry, bhai. मैं पीछे लेता हूं. Bollywood action film Salar debuted at number 5 this weekend with $5.5 million.
Let's just tell everyone we're together.
What?
Could be kind of fun.
Rom-com Anyone But You bowed in 4th place, bringing in $6.2 million.
Okay, you're impossible.
Because I found a safe place for us to live.
I want us to get out and see the world.
Illumination's Migration landed in 3rd in its debut on ticket sales of $12.3 million.
What are you doing?
I'm making chocolate, of course. How do you like it? Dark, white, nutty, absolutely insane.
Wonka slipped out of 1st place into 2nd with $17.7 million, pushing its 2-week domestic box office total to $83.6 million.
500 million people from every known species in the sea call this place home.
Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom won the box office throne. The last movie in the DCEU interconnected movie franchise netted $28.1 million in its debut weekend. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
All right, from movies to sports, some tough losses for the Cowboys, the Texans, and the Spurs, but OU and Arizona, they are in town for the Alamo Bowl, and we get an inside look. Plus, some special announcements happening in the KSAT 12 sports department this weekend. For all of this and so much more, here is Larry Ramirez.
Thank you, Max. The Dallas Cowboys want to prove they're a legit playoff contender by winning on the road, and they had a chance today at the Miami Dolphins, coming up tonight on Instant Replay.
Play clock winding down. 1st and goal it is. Lipke, the fullback again. Ball is loose. Who's got it? Miami recovers.
Yeah, the Cowboys fumbled the ball away on 1st and goal from the 1-yard line on their opening drive. That eventually led to 3 points for the Fins and became a huge reason why the boys lost on the road again. Yet Dak Prescott remains glass half full.
Right, knew what we had to do to win the game, right, and that was eliminate the explosive passes, and to come out and for the first play for that to happen is not good enough. right? And that's the way this offense, the team got going, is because we gave up the explosive plays, knowing going into the game that's where they thrive.
Houston Texans head coach D'Amico Ryans isn't happy. The Cleveland Browns' first offensive snap was a 53-yard pass completion, and the Browns rolled from there. Texans QB Case Keenum's postgame was both hopeful and realistic. Love it. The Oklahoma Sooners are now in the Alamo City, arriving today on the heels of Arizona, who got into town yesterday. Both sides are here to continue their Valero Alamo Bowl preps. We're having a little fun as well. Mary Rominger will have more. All right, how will the Spurs do in their final 4 games of 2023? 4-0, 3-2, 2-2, 1-3, or winless? That's our poll question tonight. You can vote on X, and it's also a special edition of Instant Replay as one of our employees hit a very cool milestone. Coming up right after the Nightbeat at 10:30.
All right, thank you, Larry. Okay, one final check where the big man is right now. Last seen in Pennsylvania, almost 6 billion presents delivered. Getting closer and closer to the southern tier here. Very excited for Santa's arrival. Windy tomorrow morning, cold in the morning as well. Pleasant into the afternoon, though, especially after those winds start to die down. Cold mornings continue throughout the good portion of the upcoming week, and then pleasant afternoons with plenty of sunshine, Max.
All right. Thank you, Mia. Thank you so much for watching. That is it for us here on the Nightbeat. Thank you so much. Be sure to tune into GMSA tomorrow morning for overnight news. And, of course, Instant Replay starts after the break.